Testing. There it is. Okay. Well, it is 5 o'clock, and I know there's at least some people we'd like to stay right on schedule and move right along with schedule and be done before youth group and Stacy's stuff kicks off. So I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order and open us up with some prayer, and we'll get started. Father God in heaven, we just pray, Lord, that we are all here with open hearts to your spirit, that we may have wisdom in deciding the business of the church. Pray, Lord, that all the discussion that is had, we can hear first, but that people feel bold enough to ask the questions that need to be asked, and people speak with clarity so that everything can be understood. And I pray, Lord, that you just give us all wisdom to guide the church well, and that this meeting, even though it is a business meeting, that we are here for your glory and your honor, and that your glory is magnified. I pray this in Christ's name. Amen. So first thing, approve meeting agenda. So that's the first page on here. And usually it's pretty straightforward. And so if everybody's okay with it's going on, I just need a motion to approve. Miss Patty, and a second. Mr. Chris, and all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. All right, second is approval of minutes of prior meeting, which is the very next page, right here. That would have been the March 16th, 2025. So hopefully y'all have had a few minutes to kind of look over that. If anybody sees anything that's kind of jumping out at them, any amendments that might need to be made, anything that they thought was addressed and isn't, or didn't have clarity. Yeah, if nobody has any questions, I need a motion to approve these minutes as they are written. Can I get a motion? Did somebody speak up? Oh, okay, Mr. Kevin, and second? Mr. Lou was the second. All in favor? Opposed? None? Motion carries. All right, moving on. All right, as usual, the first report is the pastor's report. Pastor George, come on up. I think that mic works.
There we go. Well, we just came back in this afternoon. Let me just tell Tyler, thank you, brother, for leading us in preaching today, and Ben in the service. And Stacy, we watched on our way up from Charlotte. We got to worship with our son-in-law and daughter at the new church plant at Citizens Church down in Gastonia this morning. Sweet fellowship, and we also just got back from Colorado, so we're back down to the lower elevations now. A couple things I'll mention. You'll notice it in the report from last time. One of the motion that was made and passed during my report last week was about the approval of the homeschool group. That is all in plans now. That is all ready to get kicked off starting sometime in August, I think it is. Is that correct? Yeah. I had the privilege of speaking to the homeschool graduation this year over at Alliance Church in Boone, and that ministered to me, just listening to the testimony of the kids who were graduating and their parents talking about their lives and what all had happened. I think every one of the kids who graduated was a believer, and it was just a really, real special moment. So I'm pretty excited about the opportunity for us to be a place for homeschool kids to come. You'll also notice in the minutes from the pastor's report last time that we had talked about a college ministry position. Just wanted to give you an update on that right now. I've interviewed several different people, and at this point, that's not been secured. We don't have a specific person in that. I'll be talking to the personnel committee. We are having some conversations with people about some future look at college ministry, and as soon as we have more information about that, we'll try to pass that on to you. So just wanted to give you a little bit of update about that. Well, as far as my report goes, you've seen that, and you've had a chance to look at it. I just want to point out a couple things. Just super proud of our Vacation Bible School crowd, everybody who participated in VBS, and I might be taking some of what Stacy wants to say, but I'm just going to tell you, it would be worth every penny that we invested in the Family Worship Center and all the decorations that we did and all the hours of service if just one person came to Jesus, and one person did, and that was my granddaughter. So it's worth it 1,000 times over as far as I'm concerned. So in fact, we're having conversations with her about baptism, and I don't know, it's real possible we may even talk about it this coming weekend. I don't know. If we can make that happen, we will. I don't want to rush that, but because I want to make sure she understands the difference between her faith in Jesus and the testimony that baptism is. If she can understand that baptism is a witness of your faith, but not her actual salvation, then we're going to have a baptism Sunday, and I'll tell you more about that later on. So anyway, I will just mention that we have gone to the one service. We did a lot of polling of folks, and the one service has been a blessing to us to be able to keep everybody together and the unity. I think everybody I talk to says the exact same thing. Almost everybody says this. We love being together. We do want to use this place right here that we currently are meeting in. By the way, the Bible, we're not supposed to worship a space, correct? We worship the God of the space. But at the same time, in the scriptures, the Bible makes a pretty big deal about the spaces where we worship, right? And a lot of effort and time and thought went into the tabernacle and into the temple. A lot of effort, time, and thought went into this place right here. So for the record, we really want to be in this space right here worshiping. We can't keep everybody together. And particularly, and let me just share with you, this is a prayer for our church, okay? We're really good with two services. We would prefer to be worshiping in here. Our biggest thing is volunteers for children's church and for music and worship, okay? So if we can raise up a new generation of people to come alongside of the ones who are already doing the work in children's church and in worship, we'll be back over here as soon as we can, okay? Just wanted you to give you that heads up. We are going to meet here next week. Next week is the 4th of July, and it just makes sense to be able to do that, to be able to get our space prepared over there for the dinner on the grounds. And so people who come to the early service at 9 o'clock can, after Sunday school, can go over there and start getting things set up and ready to go for the fellowship time. All right, so bring lots of food. I heard the announcement today as people at church were being encouraged to bring desserts that you don't have to buy, and more than that, bring the potato salads, the baked beans, the chips, the watermelon, and all the other stuff that goes with hamburgers and hot dogs. Okay, we'll be providing the hamburgers, hot dogs, the basic condiments and those kind of things. So that's coming up this next week, 4th of July. Hope that y'all will jump in on that. We're going to be bringing several projects for consideration today. We don't have to approve any of the projects that we're bringing to you. We just the staff wants to let you know that over the last several years, we've had desires and ideas for things for our future, things like playgrounds, things like remodeling here on this side over here in the Sunday school classrooms. And so some of the things that we're going to bring to you tonight, we just wanted to give you a heads up that we want this done in the Lord's timing and at the will of the church. Okay, that's not just because it's coming to you doesn't mean that that's the vision we need to follow right now. But we do want you to see that our vision's bigger than where we are. We believe our vision ought to be looking forward to the future, and I think that's super important. And so we'll have discussions about that tonight, and then. The thing that I say here at the end is I think most people understand the church is not the building, it's the gathering of the people. And as I was watching today and listening to the worship time with the music, Sam share his testimony there at during the offering, and then hearing Tyler and Ben lead us in worship for preaching from Joshua and the Lord's Supper. I was blessed to be able to see that God's doing something really awesome here. He's really doing something amazing, raising up a new generation of people who can stand and deliver God's word. And yes, you're right, Tyler. It's a humbling thing to stand up and to speak God's word. We should never take that for granted, and I'm so grateful for a church where we have men who can do that. So thank you very much. Thank you for the fact that I was gone all week long, and church just kept on happening, right? And it's amazing. Y'all are awesome, all of you. All of you are awesome. So thank you very much. Anybody have any questions? Excuse me, what? No, the Rockies lost. They were playing the Dodgers. They were losing 8-3 going into the ninth inning, and then they lost 8-7. So they made a run at Yeah, yeah, but that was the least important part of our trip. I can tell you that. Even though we really liked it, it was the part that oh yeah, we went to a baseball game.
All right, thank you, Pastor George. Next is Ben with youth ministry, and y'all are you going to cover 50 plus while you're
Yeah, I'll cover all those things. All right, good evening, everybody. So quickly, if you look at the youth ministry report, one of the things that I like to put there first is just the list of volunteers. And I'm so thankful to have all of these folks involved in these kids' lives. My kids, as well as Tyler Soon and Sam and Stacy's kids are there. And I love just the different contact, even in Sunday school. Kevin is leading. They have him in there. Debbie is leading the middle school. And when they're not around, Lisa is helping out. And I just can't tell you the value of all of these different adults and folks plugged into these different kids' lives. And so really I would like for our focus to be, and what I'd really like to work on, and so I want to, you guys are here, so say you are desiring of this too, is I would really love to find mentors for each of our kids. And I would love to get them safe people plugged in. I can tell you from my experience, having Judge meet with different people, from Kevin to the different Lou's over the years, Harry Klinger, it really impacted his life. Willow, who meets with Claire Kimmel, it's just important to have these relationships. And so I would like to ask you guys, I want to plug every kid in with an older person to meet with them. And it can be sustainable. It doesn't have to be every week. It can be a couple times a month. And so I would love to have, if you're interested, have some people plug in with the youth group and these different folks. Now, thankfully, and I love it, even this summer, we had a ton of kids go to Teen Valley Ranch. It was awesome last week. And then we had the girls. They went on a hike, which was another just, a bunch of the teen girls went with Liz, and a bunch of the other ladies, Stacy, went. And how awesome for them to go and experience a whole other group of people in another setting. I just think that is so important. And in fact, when they went, we met at Tyler and Savannah's house, I guess it was the week before that, and had a bonfire. And we had a couple of kids invite kids. So they're inviting kids. We're having visitors. We're just seeing a lot of really neat opportunities. And I think this would be a next step opportunity to have some adults plugging into those kids' lives and meeting with them on a regular basis, and just like this morning, having Finn and Miles take part in sharing the communion, passing it around. It's like I want them to know, like, hey, this is church life. It's what we do, and it's family, and this goes on into the future. So if you have interest, I would love to get you plugged in with that. And then I want to say again, thank you to all of my volunteers. I love it. Couldn't do it without you guys, and y'all are having a big impact. Just recently, we had one kid move up from, elementary age into youth group. And so I think the most difficult thing for him was moving out of Sunday school. But he went to Miss Debbie's class, and I think Luke Turner, he'll love it. He wanted all his friends to go with him. I'm like, not yet, buddy. You gotta go this one alone. But so that's fun, having him in youth group. And so really excited, speaking of youth group, about the Canada trip. So this is a youth trip, but it's also a church-wide trip, and so I'm really excited about this opportunity. So we have 21 people going. Fundraising is going really well, but I think we're going to have an opportunity. We're hoping to have some other monies added to that, and we're excited about the opportunities that'll bring. Again, this is combining church folks of all ages. So we have youth kids, we have some college kids going. So this is going to be a really neat time, for us to go together on this trip, and then two, to have this opportunity to minister to the folks in Canada. And if you've been on a mission trip like this, you usually find that we're blessed, as much as anything. We get a chance to go and jump in, but really we're the ones that are receiving the blessing. But I hope that we can be a blessing to those folks as we go. So it's just a really neat opportunity all the way around. Let's see. So yeah, youth group, very excited. Love what's going on. Love the folks there. Love visitors coming. Also, I'm really enjoying, and just want to share a quick, you can see Peggy is doing an awesome job keeping up with the 50-plus minutes, reporting, all those things. She is amazing at that. Thank you, Peggy. She's always super humble and says, don't do what I just did. But I just want her to, she just does a great job, and I love being a part of that. And so I want to invite you, if you're not coming out, it's very easy. It's super sustainable. Like, you can easily do once a month. We meet, and we're doing a Bible study, and we've been doing food before we start, which is really fun. So there's supper there. We've been hanging out. You're going to hear some really great stories from these guys, and then the Bible study is really good. And it's just been, Liz and I have both enjoyed it very much. In fact, we went to Western Sizzlin'. That was our last get-together, and we had 28 people. And I got to sit with Dana Rominger and Terry Chappell, and it was the greatest storytelling that I've had in a long time. And so it was so much fun. So I want to encourage you, if you're 50 or over and you will admit that that's your age, please come and hang out. It is so much fun, and we've had the greatest time. And so thank you for all the folks that come and have made that a part of just a really neat thing for me. And I think that you'd be encouraged and enjoy it too if you came out. So let's see. I know we have some upcoming events in July. We're going to do the storytelling down in Jonesboro. So if you would like to be a part of that or more details, you need to jump in there quick, and Peggy can give you more info on that, or we have the details on that. Sorry, my thing is too little here to read. The writing is too little to read all this. But all right, anything else? Oh, what's that? Yes, we do have the pancake breakfast coming up on Friday, July 4th, Liz's birthday. We'll get to sing to her in front of tons of strangers and people from church. It's her favorite thing ever. And but please come out. We'd love to have you be a part of that. Support the youth group will be helping, as well as Canada folks going on the trip. And Sam needs help cooking pancakes, so I've got a couple people lined up to help him. And but come be a part of that. We'll start at 8 and go till 10:30, and then we'll all go down and watch the parade together. We do have several folks now that we want to put on a visitation rotation. And so if you would be interested in being a part of that visitation, it's just a really great time to go to their houses. We'll see them and spend some time with them. I'd love to, like we've done in the past, maybe take guitars and sing some hymns and hang out with them. So I'd love to put that together. So if you'd be interested in going, I know that Gary is interested and a few others, let's do that. And let's go and put those folks, let them know like we care about them and spend some time with them. So if you're interested in that, please text me or call me, and we'll put together a rotation and get that going. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you, Pastor Ben. I think next up is Stacy with children's ministry and also clerk and also women's ministry, right?
Yeah, unless someone else wants to take over women's ministry. Item number 1. I also would like to know, when you say storytelling, do you mean fibbing?
I don't know. It was just fun.
You can tell. Okay. Thank you, George, for talking about VBS. It was amazing. And you'll notice one of my notes talks about, I think one night, if I counted all the volunteers together, we had 2 more volunteers than we had kids. And that doesn't happen very often in other places. And I am so grateful. But that leads me to the first point is I need volunteers. I would love to get the toddler Sunday school class started. Today was when I wanted it to start, but I don't have people for that. If you are interested, it could be on a rotation. We're talking about Case and his friends bring a toy tractor and he's talk about Jesus. That's all you got to do. This is really loud, FYI. Thank you. If you are interested in that or anything with children's ministry, please let me know. The other thing George mentioned about the 2 services is we've always wanted to have children's church available for both services when we have both services. And we need, when he says worship, we need people available back here in the back, helping with sound and all that, and the computer and all of that. I did have Lisa Townsend had a good idea with our children's church people. She suggested that I have some type of dinner. So I'm planning it now. I'm going to have a dinner somewhere. And if you are interested in, if you are part of children's ministries through Awana Children's Church Sunday School, or you have questions about it, or you have kids that you would like to know what's going on with that, I need, good brainstorming time, and let's figure out ways to do things. It is sort of a recruitment tool, but I don't want you to not come because you're scared I'm going to make you do things. I typically don't make anybody do things except Tyler and Sam, so y'all are safe. They're very good at saying, yes, ma'am. Tyler and Sam, would y'all like to teach the toddler Sunday school class? Okay, never mind. So stay tuned for some type of meal meeting to get together so we can brainstorm. We do have children who have aged out of the nursery but haven't aged into the class we currently have, which has 4 teachers on a rotation, but we don't have that many kids usually. Sometimes we do. And then the next class is Ben's 4th and 5th grade class. So we have a big hole, and we do only have a few kids, but that doesn't mean they're not worth our preparation. If we have visitors come and they see we don't have a class for them, then they're not going to come back. We need to be prepared for them when they come. And even if that means you've got one lesson and you're ready for 3 months, and somebody shows up, you give them that lesson. You prayed over it for 3 months. I totally trust it. So if you would be willing to be a part of that discussion, please let me know. We have started Camp Random. Last week we went to Miss Marion's house and put little notes and verses and hid them all over her house while they were out, and she's still finding them, and that was really fun. And I made a comment about how it was Christian vandalism, and I think that was like Aeneas's favorite thing ever. I think he's been telling everyone he'd vandalized Miss Marion's house. Tonight we are going to Miss Vivian's house, and we're going to help her with some random chores and maybe help her outreach to a neighbor. I'm not real sure. We're just going to do whatever she tells us to do. If you have some things that you would like done, it might be things that you are capable of doing, but so are the children, and it would be a good teaching moment for them. Please let us know. It doesn't mean that you aren't capable or invalids, but that we want to show the kids how to help. So if you have things we can do over these Sundays in the summer, please let me know. We do have the Getty Conference Worship Conference coming up the first week in September. There are 12 or 13 of us going right now, maybe more if Nikki and Spencer are joining us. They are. Yay. So I think that's 14 or 15. So please be in prayer for that. We've got a busy time coming with Canada and then the Getty trip and all of that. Oh, you're not talking to me. I think that's all I have to say there. On the church clerk information, there are no updates except that I did receive Perry and Sherry's letter from their home church. I received that after I printed this. I didn't see any need to make more copies of it just for that, but they are now official. And if y'all haven't looked at that, we have 3 couples and a single who have joined in the past quarter, and 2 baptisms, and 1 very heavenly homecoming in Roy Craigie. So I think all of this, even the homecoming, is very worthy to be celebrated and makes me very, very, very happy. Looking at the women's ministry, let me know if you're not getting the women's emails that are not regular at all. I try to send one out a month, and then I forget. But if you have not gotten one from me, please let me know. We did just do our hike, as been mentioned, to Carver's Gap that Liz plans for us each summer. It was beautiful and amazing. Next month, we are planning an outing to Outback. And then the next month, we have a tentative plan at Denise Powell's house, breakfast for dinner. So if you know of something that you'd like to suggest for a women's outing, please let me know. If you'd like to open up your house for one of those, please let me know. If you haven't noticed, we did. You probably don't know it's coming until it comes, but we did not do the summer bumper crop. Feeding Avery Families is in a transition right now, and it took us forever to get them our spring bumper crop. Actually, we never did get it to them. It went to Ramsrack. Yes, it went to Ramsrack. So it was put to good use, but they're in a transition, and I think the person we thought had taken over hadn't actually started yet. So we will hopefully be bringing that back. If not, we will be bringing back a way that we can give in some capacity that way. And as always, remember Liz is in charge of our care teams if you know someone who needs meals or special attention, and Vivian is in charge of our card ministry. And she's pretty much is just running that on her own. She told me yesterday she's run out of stamps, so I know she is sending out cards on the behalf of the church, on behalf of you. So if you know of someone you'd like the church to send a card to, please let Vivian know. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stacy. Next will be Deacon's report. Gary, are you going to give the quick report? Thank you.
Yeah, hello. You can see on our report here your deacons, and the main paragraph is just explaining that the deacons were tasked by Pastor George to come up with a safety team, which was needed since we were all doing the one worship center or one worship service in the new worship center, but still having children come over here for nursery and children's church. So Pastor George wanted a safety team put together to make sure that these kids would be taken care of from the new worship center back over here to either the nursery or the children's church. And so as a good deacon crew, we decided to take someone in the congregation to do that. So thank you, Mr. Fred Spitzoff's doing a wonderful job, and he's actually fielding the safety team and greeters. And actually there was, I didn't know it until someone who was a greeter this morning said there was a little Harlan Arnett that was giving out hugs to people this morning. So he wasn't charging. That's next week, right? Okay, so thank you, Fred, for all you've done with that and continue to do. So any questions for deacons? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gary. Next would be trustees, but I don't think there was a report submitted, and there's probably nothing to report. Anybody know a trustee that would say otherwise? All right. So personnel committee. All right. So real quick, short and simple. It's written right there. Nothing else to add. Any questions that maybe don't seem clear? And moving on. Finance committee report. Mr. Lou.
On the back of the packet is a summary of the financial situation for the church. So is there any questions on that?
There are detailed ones on the front page. We need them. We didn't print any of those. Everything you need to know.
It's too low.
They were on the front page.
If you want a complete financial report for the church at any time, the monthly statements, let myself or Stacy or Starsha know, and we can get that arranged to get it to you, either in paper form or electronically. So. As you can see from the summary, the year has been very good so far. Roughly looking at June, it looks like it's going to be comparable too. So the first half of the year looks good for Mount Calvary. We've been blessed over the last several years where we've come out excessive. Is there any questions on the summary or the financials or anything? If not, we have a motion to approve it. Did you need that? Or?
So to be clear, we're asking for a motion to approve the finances as stated in the summary. So I need a motion to approve. Mr. Chris, second. I saw Ms. Donna's hand first. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, cool. Passed.
And then there's another motion. The Finance Committee is making a motion to take $15,000 from the net available operating cash and designate it to the Mount Calvary 2025 mission trip.
Okay, so
We don't need a second since it's coming from the committee.
okay, this one's coming from the committee. So this motion stands as it is stated in the paper. This is a motion. We don't need a first and a second, but we do need to open the floor for discussion. So is there anything, anybody had questions that anybody has about the motion as it is? Okay, so then we can just jump straight to a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank everybody for their participation and support of the church. And committee members, committee chair people, in August, we'll start contacting you about getting things prepared for the budget for 2026. So I'll be thinking about that in your committees, what you might need.
I do have one question. Does the Finance Committee know about how much is still left to be fulfilled in the pledges made toward the new
It's on
building?
that summary sheet.
Okay, I missed it. Thank you.
It's in the middle. There's a balance of $16,000 approximately. And the people are making their monthly pledges or regular pledges on a regular basis. So
Thank you, Mr. Liu. Next will be Building and Grounds Report. Mr. Kevin.
Lou just told me I can't spend any money. It all started in here, okay? Y'all accepted me and my bride to be members of this church, and we enjoy seeing how the Lord has blessed this amazing church. It's been a wonderful bunch of years already, and to see where God has taken us. I do want to say we could settle. We don't even have to go over anything. I could use $47,600,000. Now, what I do with that is take care of all this stuff, and we'll build the new sanctuary with the new offices and paved parking lot out there. And hey, you got to have a vision, right? And I want to go back in time a little bit, because in the 1800s, men and women of this area had a vision to build a church here, and they did it. God has blessed ever since. Men and women had a vision to outfit this church, to add on to this building here with the fellow. To provide, and he always does. I'm not putting in a sales pitch for what I'm getting ready to bring up, because I got a bunch of little things to go over. But praise the Lord, the Family Worship Seminary is paid for. That doesn't mean you cannot get out of pledges. You got to finish pledging, okay? So please keep sending the money, because we need to keep running the building. And that's a quick thing I want to mention still. I'm monitoring very closely our utilities and all. And so far, because we're now in the what I'll call air conditioning season, and we're doing quite well. We actually have gone up slightly, like 80 cents or so an hour, but that still isn't too bad, I don't think. I know Floyd said he would meet the deficit if there was one, and if I'll make it warmer in there during the church service. There is a lot happening. I was asked some time ago to look at where we are as far as the thoughts that the church had for doing things. Now, I'm going to back up for a brief moment and say paving is started. Y'all notice the parking lot. Preparation, there you go, for the paving has started. I really thought when I got home yesterday, I kind of thought they would have been done. I have not heard from Moretz Paving, but I know it'll be done in just a few days, more likely. And then I have to be tasked with getting it striped. And when we do stripe it, it's going to be quite different. We're going to be coming in an entrance side close to the sanctuary here. Now, those few parking spots here that are handicapped will remain, but there'll be an opening there, and then you'll be parking at an angle coming in this way and loop around, and there'll be double angle there and exit. And that's going to gain us around 35 parking spots, the way we've measured out there. So that's going to help a whole lot too. Right now, everybody just kind of parks, whatever fits, and that's okay. But as soon as I get the striping done, and I hope that's very soon. Now, you noticed in the report about David Jennings, he actually showed up while I was gone, of course, and we discussed a few things. I'm looking at, we were going to put in a temporary opening over here, or are putting in a temporary access to back behind the sanctuary so we can do the repairs there. And you talked to David, that's going to come back out, right? I understood. I heard something about culverting. Is that the trench here? That's still going to be a temporary. So that will come back out off of Shoemaker Road here. But we should be able to get that part that we voted on many months ago finished with here and across the street. And then we'll be further tasking him, hopefully, for some other work that we want to get done. Oh, he's going to be cleaning up along the entire back lot, I call it, up all the way to Jackie Burleson's land there, so that it can be easily mowed now, because we've got trees down back there and so on. So he's going to clean all that up for us also. Now let's just shift gears. I was asked by our staff, and also, and it's not just them, but I had several people ask me about a playground. I got to put my project manager's hat back on, I reckon. So anyway, I said, well, I'll look into it. Well, the first person I talked to was our insurance company, because I wanted to see what our liabilities would be. The second person I talked to was our town manager. And the good news about that portion, the town manager said, Mr. Bick, just do it. Playground. And I went, how much would it be called for just our liability company that we would need for that? Oh, it was like $43, I think it was, a year. I said, that's much better. So, because we're not required to have replacement. If that playground gets destroyed, none of these buildings will be around here. So I didn't feel that we would need to talk about that. Now, I do have, as you can see that's come up on the screen here, I have spoken to probably 20 different companies around the nation. And I visited parks, I've talked to town managers, et cetera, about what they had. And again, with great so that we'd be able to have that level out there. So when children fall off, unlike when DC and I were younger, et cetera, we climbed 28-foot high monkey bars and fell off. And it's okay. We bounced easier back then, but now they don't bounce as easy except with that rubberized mulch. So the quotes that I have all would include is good for them. And we have a multitude of colors that we can combine and choose from. They can click on any of those colors off to the left and keep changing them. Judy, I need your water. Sorry. Let me come get it. I'm still adjusting from the high altitude like George. Thank you. So this playground has lots of slides, a lot of activity devices, etc. And again, it meets what our insurance company would be requiring us to have there. It's engineered, and I wish I had a showing. I have the design plans for those, just not something I can show you up there. Now, Carolina Creations. I had no idea that so many companies are out there doing playgrounds. And what's a big slogan now in America? It's called Buy Where? Buy American, right? Most of these playgrounds come from China. Well, they make some good stuff there. But this company that I'm showing up here is all American made, and they're an American company right down the road from us, down in Conover, I believe is correct. I've been in business a long time. When I first spoke to this company, just for the playground, it was like $170,000. And I went, holy cow. I didn't say nothing until I got the quote in the email. And then I started talking to other companies still to get prices. And of course, everything you change a little bit on it. And finally, I said to this gentleman, who his first name is Blythe, and I've talked to him, Teagan, I believe, right? And I said, "You're the highest there is for everything." And he says, "Let me talk to my people, my bosses." And there I am trying to twist arms again, which you have to do, right? And so he come back with not only the best price, but the far best price. So basically, his package, including David Jennings, what the work he would need to do, I think I'd put in there like $150,000 or so. And so everyone else, none of the other quotes include a picnic shelter. They all include the rubberized mulch, but all of those were just for that were $150,000 up to $200,000. And I have all the quotes here if anybody wants to look at them. The designs are very close, all of them. I mean, you can only put a slide so many different directions and climbing things and whatever. And that's American made. And it's a local company. So if we have any kind of difficulties or problems, they're a couple of hours away. And that's a plus to me. Now, the other thing is, Lou and Mike Kitchelow told me that even if we didn't have the money, they would step up and help us. I think that's right. Lou said something about don't spend any money when I walked up here. I'm not yet. I don't know what to say about the finances for this. I'm here to present it to you. It's up to the finance committee to tell me where we can get the money. But it would mean digging into our pockets also, because we need to keep our capital reserves up because we have maintenance and work and so on that has to be done to these buildings and this property. And so I don't like robbing, as I call it, money from places that it needs to stay there for safety, that this church has over the many years been able to store away. But the quote I have here, again, the estimate for just the playground was $100,808.12, and then the shelter, I think I got it right here, was $33,183.96. That's what comes up with that price of $143,992.08, plus approximately $10,000 for the excavating there. So I'm going to first ask, does anybody have any questions about what they're seeing, Fred?
I have one question.
Hurry up, Fred.
Yeah, I just want to know, is there going to be a fence around this?
No,
There's no fence.
no need of it.
Okay.
You're not going to keep people in or out of it, period. You know, unless we put like a 6 foot high with some Constantine wire on it. No, it's not a prison yard, okay? It's open. That was one of the questions asked me by the insurance company. Made no difference to them. They even suggested not having it because of quicker access to the children without having to go around to a gated area to get into it. So they said it made it simpler to have it open. That's why you don't see fences around it. Go down to Banner Elk. What fences are around their playgrounds? Zero. Okay, don't need them. Thank you for that question.
All right, I'm going to steal the mic because I do have to go. And I would just like to say thank you. I have been here since 2001 as the children's minister and have wanted a playground, but never really felt, I don't know. Kevin is great with visions and plans forward. And I'm just like, that's a lot of money. We'll go to the park. But I'm super duper excited whenever it happens, just to know that this is part of our vision is wonderful. However, I know one of the questions is, this is very large. I know a little bit smaller wasn't much cheaper. And when I'm grocery shopping or eating out at a restaurant, that's what I think about, the more I can get for my money. But I do believe the flags that you have out there, that I think David put out there last week, are
Well,
marking that?
No, the flags that are out there are marking for our fiber optics and propane lines.
Okay, so if we have, we're kind of confused. Some of
Did he
us are kind of
flag it?
confused.
Well, I know, that's right, yeah.
There was
Okay.
something, I think he did
Okay, he
flag
may have
something for
gone
that.
up.
You weren't, and Skyline was here at the same time.
Yeah.
So that maybe got a little confusing. It does look where it is sitting right now. It is taking up most of our flat area that we would like to also protect. So if you could talk about where it needs to be and why it needs to be there, and the options about size. Because I mean, if we had 12 acres, this size is perfect. But because we don't, I don't need it to be that large. Our kids don't need it to be that large. But I also want to protect our the flat area that we do play games in. I don't want to take that up with the playground. That, like, youth can't play on this, technically. They're too big, too old. We'll see how that goes. So that's taking away some of their flat land as well. So I know you have answers to that. If you would address that, please.
Sure. I spent quite a few hours out sighting in, as I'll call it, measuring my wheel and all that to look where it would be. And I was trying to take into account for not taking up too much of what she calls the flat area. Of course, with a bulldozer, we make flat areas, and that's what we'll have. But again, this is for the church to decide. What I came up with was where he would have marked it out there, close to what I call the trench. And that's all going to be dressed up and graded down nicely back for this to be there. And it'll be as close down to the bottom, as I'll call it, so that when they bring these little kids out of here, they can walk them right up very simply, no steps, stairs, or anything, easily right up there to the playground and have very easy access to it. And once the paving is out there, that's going to make it even nicer to cross across there. But I tried to move it as far that way as possible. One other option, which would have cost around $25,000 more, is to pipe the trench. Put big old pipes in there and then fill all that in and build it on top of that. Well, that sounds really good, except, remember I said this is an engineered system, and there's footings and all for all of this equipment, including the picnic shelter. And when you have non-packed or packed, but it's got pipes down there, all the manufacturers said, no, we can't put it over a trench, a ditch, or a culvert. So it cannot be on top of it. Settling, moving, they won't even show up. They won't put it there. So I couldn't move it towards the cemetery anymore, and I didn't want to go towards the office anymore because that would be awful, having the teachers and such having to go out. And another thing is, visibility. People driving down the road, look, there's a playground. Now, another question, do we want people coming by and using that playground? Yes. If not, I need to sit down and just shut my mouth. Because, yes, we want people. Well, there's no one here. Okay, the buildings are locked. Enter at your own risk. I know what signage the insurance company wants us to put up, et cetera. It's very simple. And plus there's instruction placards even that goes with the playground. So I think I've covered all the bases. As far as where it is, when we build that new sanctuary, Stacy, you're going to lose flat area. That's for y'all's great grandkids to do. Yes, sir.
What, according to the manufacturer, what's the functional life of this system? And then with the mulch, what's the functional life of the mulch, thinking about longer-term cost and replacement?
Very good. On average, they say the mulch is around a 20-year product or more, depending on how we treat it. And even then, what's deep will not need to replace. It's called a reshaping, meaning they come in and just put the top coat back on there. So basically, lifetime, because it is rubber and bury a tire, and because it's made from tires and such there. As far as the playground itself, this company says you might need to do a little touch-up from fading of paint in about 20 years. Other than that, they have no clue. Meaning 50, 100 years, because there's nothing we're not in a salt environment. We're here in the mountains. And so the way this is all baked on enamel painting, powder coated, different things there. Some of the plastics even, well, all their plastics, this company, again, American made, has all the UV inhibitors built into it. So it should resist decay that plastics can have. And that's about all I'm going to tell you. You and I will not be around when it needs to be replaced. Yeah, there wasn't much difference. I did look at smaller. I was looking at like a 30 by 45 and all these. And when you add a swing set in, and kids want swings, if you can just move around there to where you see the swing sets coming up in the picture, you see the spacing between what we... Everything can be moved. This is an engineer's concept of where to put it. Yeah, one of the reasons why you got your distance to the edge here. The reason why that is like that is, what do kids like to do when they come off of a swing a lot of times? And if it's way, because what do kids do? They jump off the swing and crash into an apparatus. Because I know it doesn't show it well up there because there's no markings of how many feet this is, but turning it would add a danger factor in there. And so that's why it is drawn like you see for the swing set. And please ask away any questions, and then we'll get into the money. But can you envision your grandbabies, Judy? Can you envision what you have left for young grandkids? They're growing up so fast. You see what I'm saying? There's so much that this would bring to this campus here. And I'm not saying it's something we can get done now. Tomorrow I'll be being bombarded from all these manufacturers about, what'd your church say? I've got to tell somebody they're a winner, and the rest of them, no, you didn't get it. So any other questions for me on this?
What's the turnaround time?
3 months, less than 3 months. Yeah, less than 3 months right now. Turnkey. All we got, other than hiring David Jennings to grade, to get the plot ready. And they would do that, but they wanted like 40 grand. And, so, and they don't know this land. David knows this land inside and out. So he knows how to put it in. And we can have a 3% grade, no more than 3% in a playground. So I think I've covered. Yes, George?
Well, is there still the possibility, I know you can't build right on top of those, but can we locate it in such a way where if we did put culverts in, because that would be like gaining land that's not being used. Is there a possibility of situating those in such a way where the footings would not be coming down on top of land that would be a problem for the footings, but we could use more of that space up in there? David asked that question. He would like to explore that if that's possible.
Yeah, Again, all I can go by is what the, well, 4 of the several companies had said, because I'd said something about what if we did this, and I told them how big a diameter and so on, and they said, no, we won't do it. You know, we cannot. Their insurance companies won't allow them to build over utilities, septic tanks, of course, you know, all these kind of things. Anything that could collapse under it has to be a proven surface that has no tunnels, no, of course, you know, what have you there. So I don't see that happening. I would love to be able to do that, except, again, it will cost a lot more money, too, to fill in that trench like you were talking. But yet it could be filled in later and add some land for us there to do other things, but not build on, you know, to access going back and forth and all. It could be done. Any other questions? I got a lot to go over still, sorry. All right. The Building and Grounds would like to move that we seek the finances, and I go by only what Lou can tell me, to be able to enter into a contract with Carolina Recreation and Creations to build this playground. And so I put that in the form of, sorry, it comes from Building and Grounds, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, well,
Question?
yeah, go ahead, George.
Well, my only question would be, do we want to talk about the remodeling project as well?
Well, that's
before we.
I'd be happy to. I'll rescind my motion. All right, there you go.
I just think it would.
Let me move through the next 2 things here.
Yeah.
Thank you, George. Next. Praise the Lord. We are filling up our new building over there. I didn't get to be here for Roy's funeral, and I wanted to be. But when I watched it live on that big old television in our room, and I sat there praising the Lord, and I'm looking around, and I'm seeing how full it was. We only have 300 total chairs. Ain't that right, Liz? 300 total chairs. That's taking them out of the classrooms and all, and those were all full, and there was a gaggle of people all across the back, and you just name it, and I'm guessing we probably had close to 400 in that building. And so, and now during church services, we have 200 chairs that we call it could stay out there for services, and the rest, when we have to fill the overflow, is brought out of classrooms. And again, not being here the past 2 weeks, but I know several weeks back even, every Sunday we're pulling chairs out of the classrooms. So that's no big deal. Well, yes, it is actually, because it's disruptive for one. If we could go ahead and set up for more people, it would help a whole lot. The company that we bought our chairs and all for is going to recognize the same price we paid in the past for our chairs. And so what I have, and it's not in your, well, some of it is in your paperwork there, but from Events Table, there you go, 84 chairs and a cart that they all go on would run us, including shipping, tax and all, $33.63.85. 84, I think is right. Yeah, 84.
It would be like another full cart.
It'd be a full cart.
One more full cart.
So, because we want them on a cart,
Yes,
trying to
please.
run them in and out of that room. So I'm hoping the church will say, yes, we need to find that money soon and get those ordered while I can still keep this price. Because that's delivered to us, and all we got to do is assemble the cart and hang them on there. We're ready, and we can start putting out more chairs. And the next question should be, well, what do we do when we fill up that building? We build another one. Yeah. Yeah.
But I just want to bring up one thing that I'd like for everybody to think about and discuss is the location for the playground right now is up against the back of the new building. I mean, it's right there. So the bank goes up and the playground would go right there. And I'm not opposed to that, but I do want us, if we're thinking about the future, is if we wanted to expand, if we wanted to grow that building or do any other changes, that's the only way to go. And so I just want that, I have to go to
Sure.
youth is starting, but I just wanted that to be like, let's think about and talk about location.
All right.
Because I didn't know that's where it was going to go until somebody pointed out those stakes. And so I would just have interest to like find out more and talk about, location and think about the future and what it might look like. So sorry to throw that in there,
Oh, it's
but I
okay.
just wanted us to think
But
about it.
I will
and talk about it.
quickly say before you walk out the door, the way the new building was designed and its elevation that it's at, it would be not impossible, but nearly impossible to add on to it up the hill, because you would have to dig down 10, 12, 16 feet of land to keep it on the same plane. Or you build up high and have stairs and whatever going down. So that would be a quite difficult project to add anything to that building.
And then my other thought too is when we first started thinking about the building, we only had a pavilion in mind. And then didn't even realize how amazing, going, also the size doesn't bother me, but I'm like, you keep talking about maybe if we fill in that, to me, that ditch that's going through, like, one is an eyesore.
It is.
And it keeps us from, so I'm thinking that like, we should almost consider these projects together, thinking about kids playing, playground or whatever, so don't think smaller, I think we should think bigger.
Thank you. All right. So that's one item, and lastly, really, DC, did you tell me you were here when the fellowship hall was built? Okay, I think it was you and Terry. Yeah, both sides, yeah. I think Terry and you were about the only ones still here that were here. Yeah. And, I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, and Jackie, she did tell me. I've been polling everybody I could, asking about who might have been here, because I had a lot of questions about the building over here. It was brought to me quite some time back about bringing our fellowship hall upstairs up to a better standard and code. And I said the word code because there are code things have changed, electrical, plumbing, et cetera, since that building was built considerably. If they were to come in today to inspect, they're not, they'd flunk us really quick because there's a lot of new standards and code things that have come into this time to where it wouldn't meet it. So what we're looking at from building and grounds and from the staff is trying to upgrade upstairs. And I say upgrade, I'm talking a big revamping. I was able to visit quite a few churches back when our former church was starting an expansion process, and look at how other churches are utilizing space. And we know a lot happens upstairs here. We have Awana and we have Sunday school classrooms, and we need more Sunday school classrooms. We need a music room. And one of the best ways to obtain that would be upstairs, remodeling it, and making rooms dual purpose. This one church that went with George to to a pastor's conference a few years ago. I'd gone to that church before when they were adding on to it there in Winston, and they have a school there. So in their Sunday school rooms, this way is Sunday school, and this way is educational school, public use that way. And so it was a dual purpose, and they have a big custodial staff and all, and what they would do is, on Sundays or Saturdays, they'd come in and turn the chairs and what have you, so the teachers didn't have to, and then they'd turn them back for Monday morning school. We're not having to worry about that yet at upstairs, but what I'm going to propose, and then I'll get into the money in a moment, is a total revamping and adding a half bath. There you go. Because that half bath will be such a blessing. You may not know it, but when we have children up there, 2 adults have to take that child to the bathroom. We have to be above reproach. And we have to take them downstairs. So that takes 2 workers, which we still don't have that Sunday school teacher, by the way, for those young little kids. I'm hoping to hear that any second. I'll do it. Not me. But we need that bathroom up there. And I've already gone in. I've been all up in that ceiling down below. I know where to tap in now to the sewer. So that is definitely doable. But we're also looking at taking out the dated paneling, sheetrocking, not taking the grid out, but taking all the ceiling panels out and putting new ones up. When I was changing out all those lighting fixtures to LED, I know where some people put the ashes of their loved ones in the ceiling, I think. Or it may have been the rats or whatever. But still, it's awful up there. When I was crawling around looking where to put that bathroom, I'm going, well, I'm glad I don't have to come up here again. Because it's old. It's been there it's been there a long time. And so the ceiling grid needs to be replaced, not the metal, but just the panels there. A very lovely young lady that's on Building and Grounds named Jenna Kitchelow has been quite instrumental in working with some of the contractor or a contractor to come look at that. And he did come by. Jenna, would you take a second just to say, could you, what you spoke with them about, so it won't come secondhand from me? So I'm going to let Jenna either come up here or we'll take you a mic. I'd take our mic. Jenna, please also explain why. Not just modern, but why we need to do that.
Okay, maybe I should come up there. So, I don't know if any of y'all have been upstairs lately, but it desperately needs help. Well, I was going to say it's a mess, but anyway, it's sort of a mess. We do need a lot of things upgraded there. I think, like he was saying, we take the old paneling down, we sheetrock, we put in new doors, new trim work, take out all the yucky carpeting and put luxury vinyl in there. That would be easy to clean, easy to maintain. And like Kevin was saying, the bathroom is a really big deal when you've got kids involved. So the guy that I've spoken to has done work for several of our friends and neighbors. He, according to all of them, has stayed on budget. He has not gotten his estimate to me yet, but he has been out. Brother George has spoken with him, showed him around. He's given his kind of stamp that he seemed to be good. So anyway, he's going to be working on one of our church members' remodel starting in September, and he said he could get to us in the spring, which Kevin says is the perfect timing. So I have a lot of confidence in him. His, I think, we'll say from a moral standpoint, an ethical standpoint, he seems to be very reliable in doing what he says he's going to do. And honestly, I'm worried about if we don't hire someone like that and get it done, Kevin's going to kill himself in the process. But anyway, it'll be good for all of us. But we really need the Sunday school space. That is a big deal. We really need room for, the Awana clubs and everything like that. What I'd like to see also, if we have the money for it, is there's like all kinds of storage units up there, and they don't look all that good, and they're not that sturdy. So I would say when we get this done, if we can just get some cabinets that we can put everything in, get everything organized, we know where everything is. That way it's going to be easier for children's church, Awana clubs, crafts, and everything else. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jenna. I don't know their name, Tyler. Jenna, what's the name of the gentleman? Yeah, she's going to get his last name. Yes, and Tyler gives a thumbs up for this gentleman also. One thing about, as y'all know, in your years of going out and visiting a church, when you were trying to find that home church for you and your family, was, I'll say, when you first drove up, the campus itself. That's what may have steered you. And then the next thing was young parents, and we've got to have them. Young parents are coming in with kids, and they want to know their children are going to be safe. They want to know their children won't have any problems or difficulties. And when they see, I'm not saying it's, when they see upstairs, it just looks 50 years old. And it's been well used, and we got our money's worth out of it. But just like this beautiful sanctuary, it needed remodeling. So does that. We need to remodel that. We need to upgrade, and I'll be working closely with the electrical also to make sure, because I don't know that this gentleman does it, but I'll be keeping an eye on that if we choose to do that. I will say this is not something we're going to vote on tonight. We can't, because first, I don't know how much it'll be. Secondly, I don't know if Lou can come up with that kind of money right away, and I don't mean from the church. But still, I don't know. Those are some unknowns. We got several more business meetings, or at least one more, before I can work out those details. Once I have a quote and all, and then we could come together at the next business meeting and lock that in. So this is an information time, but I just want to know, what are y'all's thoughts? Is it a positive? Let's remodel upstairs, or do we leave it like it is? Yes, darling. Mm-hmm.
If we are talking about voting on the playground,
Mm-hmm.
do you have, I know this will cost at least $50,000 for the remodel, or at least $40,000, or at least $70,000. Can you give us some kind of?
I came up here and spent many times. Judy was asking, do I have any kind of a guesstimation, I'll call it. Under 100,000, more likely. I don't think, do you think it'll be, I know it ain't gonna be no higher than that, but that's my guess. Because by the way, Perry is still with New River, and I reached out to him, and he's still on their board or something there, and he's willing to extend the same deal we had with the Family Worship Center for that remodel, just to let you know. So, 3-year contract, yeah. And so we still have an end there. So another arm I could twist, and didn't take hardly any. Oh, no problem, Mr. Beck. Y'all paid me on time. So just let me know what I can do. I'll set up a special account for you. So if we do remodel, we're going to pay 10% above their cost, materials. That's awesome. And that's one thing when I negotiate with this gentleman that Jenna has, is I'll be telling him, his labor price is what I want to know. Give me materials list, and I'll get the materials, at our discount. So I don't know, Judy, but I kind of guesstimated, thinking about what we did in the new building, 50, 60,000 it could be. I just don't know. I do need to throw y'all a monkey wrench. Thank you, George. I had it on my list. We lack one thing of making our insurance rate go down at this church from Brotherhood Insurance. It's called the fire escape out the back door. The wooden, rotten fire escape. You say, maybe we need to move that to emergency. Well, it is an emergency fire escape. I wouldn't trust it. I've gotten measurements, and I've been getting quotes. They're varying, because they have to be metal stairs, and the door needs to be replaced with a different type of egress door. It has to be a panic, etc., that we can just hit the bar like we have now. So the door would have to be replaced there, which is around a couple of $1,000s, for this type of door system that has to go in. And they're just, so as soon as I have that, which will be soon, then we may have to have a special call business meeting for that. I don't know. But the stairs need to be replaced. Those metal stairs could be $18,000, $20,000. But if those kiddies had to get out of there right now, they would probably do just fine on it. But when somebody big as me walks out there, I'm liable to be needing rescuing, because they are rotting. They've been there since that building was built, I understand, and they are in terrible shape. Why don't we just build some wooden ones? Doesn't meet code. What does wood do in a fire? Burns. They have to be metal, and engineered metal too. Steps have to be a certain height. I mean, my notebook is, I mean, the height of stairs, the tread type, all this, the width of them, et cetera, the handrails, double handrail, like a lower and upper, little kiddies, adults. There's a lot that goes into building a true egress fire escape. So as soon as I get more data on that, I will definitely pass that on. But once we do that, I don't know the exact percentage, but that's going to lower our rate. Everything we have done has lowered, even adding the new building on. We're not paying but pennies more in insurance for that building than we were the old Shoemaker house. Put that in your hat and think about it. So, yes, ma'am.
Remodeling upstairs, would there be a possibility to do something to include a handicap, something or other, to get the stairs still, some of children that are breaking legs, or
Yeah.
but also adults that need to just have a hard time climbing the stairs, but would it be handicap accessible? Like, if we're putting a music room up there.
As far as, she's asking, would upstairs be handicap accessible? As far as ADA compliant, the only possible way is to put in an elevator. And there's nowhere to put it except external. And the only place to put it external is out around by the fire escape. I have walked this building well. I'm learning it really good. So as far as wheelchair accessibility, walker, et cetera, I know of no way other than an elevator. And that's would cost nearly, well, there's external ones that I know are running $28,000, $30,000 for external elevator, 2-passenger type, wheelchair, et cetera. So, but that'd be the only way. Then we'd have to provide a handicap accessible walkway around to that. Not saying it couldn't be done, but yes, it could be, but it would be quite costly. As far as handrails and all that's going to be changed. All the handrails we have, all that paneling's coming off. We're going to have ADA heights, because these are not. They're 2 inches too high, actually. So that's why when you reach for that handrail, you're having to reach up a little bit. But they'll all be at ADA compliant heights, et cetera. And the doorway going to the bathroom will be 36 inches wide. So that meets that, but there's no way a wheelchair is getting up there unless we carry that person up, like y'all had to do me at one time, and take my wheelchair up. It's the only way we'd be able to do that. Any other thoughts about that anybody could help me with that might know?
But one of those chair lifts doesn't work there.
It's because it turns. I mean, you've got the straight up, and you could put I know what it was. It's the width across there. You can put them in a residence, but for commercial application, you've still got to have, it's 38 inches from the farthest point of the chairlift to the next wall. And we don't quite have that, because these chairlifts are running around 26 inches wide. The total for the frame, the rod and the chair that sits in it and all that. But that is an option we could try, but I would just mean, somehow or another magically making the stairwell wider. It needs to be wider for commercial application.
Is that possible if we do a remodel?
No, because of the blocking. I'm glad you mentioned that too, George. I was thinking of that before I even thought about an elevator. But that is a cinder block wall there. And it's structural. It's supporting the roof all the way down from upstairs. The top stairs beams are on top of that wall that's on your right side and on the left side. It's cinder block behind that paneling that's up there. And so it's not an open area there to.
But you can't push that wall where the first room is, where the bathroom's going to go in that general area somewhere. You can't push that hallway wall back a little bit.
No, that's not the problem. The problem is the stairwell itself.
Oh.
Yeah, it's block on both sides there. And I couldn't get in there to see all the way to the top, but from what I saw when I was in that classroom, he was asking about could we make that stairwell or move the classrooms over. But what we're dealing with is support beams. The petitions we have in there, the only petition that's not truly partly a support is that little closet that was added in what I called formerly Dwayne's classroom at the end. That's just a petition somebody put up. But all the rest of the walls that are there have to stay like they are. They're tripled. If you go in there and pull up the ceiling, you'll see the plating that's done, and you'll see where rafters are sitting on top of them. And so engineering-wise, we don't want to get an engineer involved. All right, any other questions about that? Yes, ma'am.
So could we make the fire escape a priority, and by how much would it reduce our insurance?
I do not know the second part of your question, how much exactly. Our representative just said, Mr. Beck, the only thing you have left to do is replace that, because they come out and meet with me, and is to replace that, and we can get you a little bit lower rate. It's not big money, but I count it as a lot to me, even like a set of playground to cover for $43. All the things we did with signage and fire smoke detectors and all that stuff all kept lowering our rates. And it's $20 here, $50 there, and then you take that total bundle, and that made it a big hit, a good hit, for us. So, but April, I don't know how much that's going to reduce it. She just said that's all I had left to do. Yes. Yes.
Is it true that the only insulation we have in those classrooms is the panels that are replaceable?
The outer walls are cement block and they're filled, but there is no insulation in the walls that I could find. The petitions.
The ceiling is what I.
Oh, the ceiling, there's not a whole lot of anything up there. It's up against the actual roof. If you lift those ceiling panels up, some of the rooms have some insulation there and all, and that's all going to have to be some attention done to insulate it better.
I was just thinking, if we're going to all the trouble of remodeling it, we ought to upgrade the insulation.
Yes, much agreed. And forgive me, I didn't even think about that.
Okay.
So you're right. I'll put that on my list to find out. Because insulation is a big deal. Y'all know that. It gets cold here sometimes. Well, you're used to. Any other questions from me on any of these items here? I don't have a priority on any of them other than we need to replace the stairs and that door. And I'll have a price as soon as I can on that total package is what I want. I got to get a hold of the door companies and get my quotes on the egress door, the proper one, and lighting that has to go there, signage that we have to have in the hallway, and then the stairwell going off to the side there. I have all the measurements and everything for it, just trying to, haven't been here in a few weeks, be able to get that ready. So I guess I'll drop back to playground. Does anybody else want to ask me any more questions about that? I will gladly, by the way, meet with anyone that can help me place it better. I know David has done quite a bit of measuring, and just like with the new building, we want to do as little grading as possible. Remember, it was moved 4 times. And so the angle we're at gives us that natural wind flow through. If you open all them doors, man, it comes to that valley, and the least amount of grading in and taking out of materials. So that saved us a bundle by positioning it that way. It was worth paying the surveyor to resurvey it a few times for us and get that right. I guess I'm going to turn and ask the church, what are your thoughts? Lou, I do have a question for you. Got any money?
That's a simple yes or no.
Because that's a big question y'all should be asking.
Yeah, I think it's a good question to ask.
What's that?
The Finance Committee was, of course, somewhat aware of this, so we talked about it, and we feel that we could go ahead and fund the playground area for it.
Okay.
There's supposed to be a couple other things being brought up tonight, but I think we can cover those too.
All right.
We've
Yep.
already given away $15,000 for the Calgary mission trip. We had 163 of cash available. When I looked before coming over to the meeting, where we're sitting at now in June, there's $212,000 of cash available. Thanks to Judy back, she did such a great job of getting the sales tax refund. We got a refund of $38,000 on the building for materials.
Miss Judy apparently didn't know that. The look on her face.
Tyler, thank you, Lou. Got anything else you need to say about the money?
I think we can cover
All right.
it. So,
And-
there's a couple of finance committee member here. If you have a different opinion, let it speak up now or hold your peace.
And we do take checks, cash, or money orders. So, All right, Tyler. All right, Tyler.
Oh, sorry, Tyler. I had like 4 hours.
I just want to share my perspective on the playground. I'm in a stage of life where that's beneficial. But for the past few years, even before we had kids, Savannah and I were praying for young families because for the longest time, Caitlin and Isaac are here now, and other families are starting to come. But for the longest time, it was just us as the young family. And we started praying for young families to come, and here they are. And, when we're meeting for a youth group outside or Awana or whatever, and we look over and kids are playing in the graveyard, how fun. People are dying to get in
Telling
it.
the truth.
But also, we mentioned earlier when young families come and we don't have a playground, well, how inviting is it? The building is beautiful, but we have nowhere for our kids to go. We have the smallest nursery to any church I've ever been to, and that's not a slight to us. That's just how our church has been for so long. But our church is growing, and if we pray for these things to happen, then we got to prepare for rain, And so, I'm excited about this. I sent pictures to my wife, and she's crying, because she wants this. Again, we're in this stage of life, but you've got grandkids, and they come and they want something to do. Yeah, we give them Jesus, but man, they need to sweat so they can go to bed too, So I'm for it. I just wanted to voice my opinion and perspective on that.
Thank you, Tyler.
Sorry, George. I was going to say I can second that because before Tyler and Savannah started having babies, my family was the young family in the church. And there's a gap, like we talked about having that Sunday school gap. That's between my kid and his kids. So yeah, it's something that being a family with still moderately young children, it's something that I agree we won't need.
I just wanted to say that since this is being recorded for posterity, both in the notes and the video, please don't let your kids play in the cemetery. That will kill them. They'll be a part of the cemetery long term. That's very dangerous to be in the cemetery. So let me just say that, okay? So.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Chris, yeah.
Is it time for a motion to approve the playground?
But I did want to just restate because I understand things better when I state them. But I believe that Lou said that the finance committee has already kind of looked at it and been like, okay, yeah, we've got money to fund this. So it's not. Well, I'm not saying. Well, I'm just saying I had to say that in my own head. So if I understand that incorrectly, I want somebody to correct me now. All right, we're good. So from the committee, there is a motion. So we don't need a first and a second? Or no, we do?
Well,
I've never read Robert's rules. I should have.
Well, this comes from the personnel, for the building ground committee, but I think it's good to get a
All right.
motion in a second because this is a vision
Yep.
question from the church. I
Okay.
think it would be good for the church to endorse the vision.
Tyler Buff makes the motion to build a playground wherever it needs to go.
Tyler Buff made the motion to build a playground wherever it needs to go. Miss Patty's the second, I assume? Okay. So we have discussed.
I'm gonna give you the dollar figure.
Okay.
It'll be 143,992.08 or less. Yes.
Can we still hold out the possibility of doing the survey up there and relocating?
Oh,
It
yes.
might cost us more if we do that.
I will take care of that.
Okay.
To the church. It's gonna cost more than that.
Right.
Okay, so
Now, you're talking about moving it up the hill?
I'm just saying, I would love to have David and other people, like the Brain Trust, put their heads together and decide it in the very best location for the future of the church. And if it costs more, I think we should be prepared to bring that back to the church. And because, I'm just saying, if it's a possibility, I'd love to gain property that's gonna be unused.
The purpose of keeping it down low is to keep it not so far away for the
So that it's
teachers and
accessible.
parents
Yeah.
to access it.
Yeah.
Is the whole reasoning to keep it down low.
Yeah.
So I can shift it around probably here and there, but as far as going up the hill more, the grade changes really fast and it'll require a lot more excavating and removal of substrate and surfaces and all there, which will run into a lot more money, but it also will make it to where when they want to dash out there and come out of nursery, whatever, it'll be further up the hill, for them to go. It's the only thing I'm concerned about there. But
Sam has a question.
it's up to the church.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all over the states are, David Jennings thinks that's where it's going.
Yeah.
will not see that from the road.
Yeah, that's right.
It's going to be directly behind the building.
Yeah, I have not had a chance. We didn't get in till late yesterday and to walk out there.
Grading on that the other day.
Okay, I thought he was gonna start on the back of the building.
So, yeah, you and Tim and Dave need to talk because they're, you're on two different pages.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So-
where that's going, that field will be 100% gone.
Well, it's not where we talked about.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The footing of that's gonna be way bigger than the playground itself because where it does have to grade and cut back.
Mm-hmm.
No matter where you go, there's gonna be a lot of.
Won't be no shovel put to the ground till I examine it. I promise you. I know where it needs to go, and I know David knows the dirt, but that's why I got a rough figure from him about excavating, you know.
Hey, Ken,
Yes.
can we have a clear, concise motion, because there were a couple
Yeah.
of comments
We're,
in
yeah,
conjunction with.
working.
Yeah, the motion would be to to accept the bid from Carolina Recreation and Design. They're in Denver, North Carolina, to build the playground and picnic shelter. This is two items together in the contract, was what it would be. And including going under contract with David Jennings for the cost of $143,992.08.
So that's the motion. There's discussion as far as where it will actually end up being, but ultimately,
I'll
that's
take care
what
of
it
that.
will be.
I'll get
Okay, all right. All right, so we had a first and a second. That is the motion. We've had discussion. Any other questions? All right, so all in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? I love this church. All right, so motion passed.
I still have tables and chairs, not tables, chairs on a cart. Oh, yeah, $3,300. But what are your thoughts about adding those in? Yes, Judy? Huh?
Oh, okay, well, I just have some questions and
Yeah, okay,
discussion
ask
possibly.
away.
Well, I'm the one that, cleans and moves chairs in and out a lot. And it's not that there's no room in that closet, but it is, when we put everything in there that's supposed to be able to go in there, it's a little tight. So I'm not saying there's not room for another cart full of chairs, but it would be, it can, those carts also are heavy. Honestly, they're heavy. And that's just the nature of the beast. You kind of have to put some weight into it to get them to start moving. So moving that cart in and out and maneuvering it to park it where it would probably go, one of the things that was important to me for that particular closet is functionality. I wanted everything that, and Liz, can confirm, I wanted everything on carts that needed to go in there to be able to go in there, and we can walk around everything. I didn't want it up against walls because we have shelves up against all those walls. And if you have those up against the shelves, then you don't have access to the shelves. So, another cart can go, but it's getting tight. It is getting, because also the sound cart is supposed to be able to go in there. That's a heavy beast to move too, but it can go in there. We can get the sound cart and everything else in there too. Just saying, it's getting tight. That's not something to say that I don't want the cart of chairs. It's just, we're gonna have to, keep in mind that it's gonna be a pain in the neck to get it out, in and out sometimes probably.
Thank you. Yes. $47,300,000. We will build the new sanctuary, okay? Turnkey and offices. Yes, DC. We need chairs. Yeah.
Well,
if we
just
have to-
chairs so that we're not having to shuffle them in and out of the
Yeah.
Sunday school rooms.
Yeah, because, like I said, the main thing that's happening is, and the chairs that are in your Sunday school rooms, I think you've noticed the cushions are a little thicker, but that's for the Sunday school rooms. And what happens is, and this is what I've especially observed, is first and foremost, when a lot of church members sit on a pew, where do y'all usually sit at, Fred, or anybody? Not you, on the end. And as a person who enjoys greeting and ushering people in, it would be so much easier if you just go ahead and sit down in the middle and let it fill in from the sides. So as a member of the church, come in, sit in the middle. You don't have to sit on the end because then people have to crawl over you. And they don't like that. Guests don't like that. So this morning I had to usher quite a few people down, and I'm going, dang, they have to crawl over because I got my chair. You don't have a chair over there. You sit, but please, if you would think about that, move the middle, and I digress, sorry. Yes, Fred?
One thing I know from other churches, since we moved to 24 times or so, if we don't have at least 10% of the chairs open, we're not gonna grow. Why are we growing now? We do have it open, that makes it pretty accessible for folks to go in without climbing over people.
Yep. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Lee.
Lynn.
Lynn. I know. They get us mistaken often.
Yeah,
He has
they ask if I'm
little
Kevin,
less
and I
hair
say,
than me.
well, I'm not, but that means Kevin's really good looking. So my question is, last I heard, the plan was to only be doing one service over there during the summer, and then in the fall to be moving back here. Is that still the case?
Absolutely. What we're looking at, we may have to do, how many services? Yep, or a
And-
satellite, one or the other.
All right, when?
We'll see how the year brings us into the summer, through the summer.
Okay.
But we have, I think it's 106, is it 116? I think I remember counting. If everybody sits tight and doesn't sit on the end of the pew, that we can sit in here without, I think it's 116. Yeah, huh? 160.
You can cram them in.
Okay, yeah.
And I know that's discussion that's for the possibility. We did move to because it's easier, we have the bigger space, it's easier.
Yeah.
If
And
the
what's-
Lord is still blessing us, praise the Lord. Nobody wants to abandon the sanctuary. I know this is nothing official. I know just in passing and discussion, how do we best utilize, how do we best, and this, because a lot of churches, the rule of thumb is when you start filling up a service, you go to 2 services. And when you start filling up 2 services, you go to 3 services. They're great, that works. There's reasons that maybe it's not the most ideal situation. One idea is also not doing a satellite campus, but having overflow like in the fellowship hall that can watch on the screen. Not the best either, but there's reasons why that can be more appropriate. There's reasons. It would be a discussion that we could have, but that is something. If we're cramming 180 people in here, we wouldn't be cramming 180 people in here, but we're having 180 people show up to church during the fall, and it's like, we don't want to move permanently to the new building for services. We want to keep using the sanctuary. Having overflow isn't a discussion that we should have. I'm sorry, I just wanted to say that because I think it's a good idea.
Well, that's fine. I just need to.
We might be getting off the track.
Why do we need the extra chairs for that building if we're planning to go back here?
Because next year we'll probably do the same thing. And we'll have our Florida folks, like those that chicken out and go south for the winter, they'll be leaving. And so our numbers will go down for the fall and winter because our Florida folks will be gone. But we're already replacing, I know, with new people coming.
I can say, because I know several other people were here at Mr. Craigie's funeral, and it was like every single chair was available, and it was standing room. It is exceptional. It is exceptional. But I think part of the discussion is when we have those moments, it's like, oh, we didn't put out enough chairs. It's a scramble to grab chairs from the Sunday school rooms to put up. Whereas I think the idea of going ahead and just getting the extra chairs is these are all the chairs we're going to set up. So nobody's having to scramble to pull stuff out of the Sunday school rooms. That doesn't become a part of our normal routine. It's just we are now well prepared for larger crowds if they show up. If we're having special events, or even if it's a Sunday, like I put out the chairs this week, and I put out just shy of 200. I put up 2 full racks, and I think it was like 194 chairs. And I thought, we're good. But then, we did run into that. Like, also, people, if you're like me, you walk into it and you see somebody sitting on that row and be like, well, that's full. I'm going to move to the next one. That's the way I am. It's the way a lot of people are. Having that more space, yes, people spread out more. but they are more comfortable to come in, especially if they're guests or at least newcomers that aren't, they don't, they're not friends enough with Mr. Turner to come just like, okay, we're squeezing in Mr. Turner. They're going to want a little bit more space. So that's the idea is with one more rack of chairs, we set up that many. Will they ever be completely slam full on a Sunday morning? Yeah, I hope so. Is it likely we could have that discussion? But at the very least, it keeps us from scrambling while we're trying to wrap up and the last few people are coming in. And it's like, grab all those chairs out of the Sunday school room. It's like, okay, we can do away with that as a part of our routine if we just go ahead and get another rack of chairs to set up. That's the idea, right? Yes, I think you can get one more rack of chairs in there. It'll be a little bit like, okay, it'll be hard. We're going to have to come up with an order of operations as far as taking racks in and out. And then, because we might have to pull these out in order to get the third one out. That'll be a part of it, but it will be tight, but I think it can still work and function the way we need that room to function. I believe so. That's my opinion. I could be proved wrong, but I believe, me being the one that has moved those chairs a lot, I think we can, but it will be tight. We won't have a whole lot of room for an additional something,
Kathy?
Just a quick question. Didn't you say that the price that you got on the chairs is a special price for now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You said
they gave me a
3,000.
deadline of July. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was
He's
called
called
for
for the
question. Okay. Okay, there we are. So I know Mr. Kevin, hold on, wait. Yes, Miss.
I say, praise the Lord, we need chairs.
Amen.
I praise the Lord. So the motion is on the floor to go ahead and purchase the chairs. Do you have the number?
It's 3,000.
Three.
3,363.85.
Yeah,
Well, that's the price.
just shy of $3,400, and that's for a rack that would be assembled and 84 chairs, which is what fits on the rack. That is pretty much the maximum that we'd be able to house. But that's the motion. We've had discussion. No more questions. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passed.
And I'll briefly
You're getting a workout
exit
today.
and say, y'all should see what's happening in that nursery over there. I gave Savannah a budget from Building and Grounds, and Perry gave us, again, an excellent price, and it's coming together in there. Pretty soon, you're going to have a nursery with a preschool, I call it teaching room, that's being there, and it looks good. Just picture yourself back walking into a nursery, and if you see something that's really dated and not organized, you don't really want to leave your child there. You want to stay with them. So I'm happy about that, and I can't thank Savannah and her team for being in there. Some of you may have been the ones helping paint and do things in there. It's took a big load off of me also. I find it a joy to be on Building and Grounds again, but it is a lot of work. And I'm just so thankful that God is using all the talents of everyone in here too. God bless you all.
So after Building and Grounds, the next was going to be, Mission Committee report. But this is for there's a sheet in here for security cameras. That's all under new business. I kind of was expecting Kevin to address this as well, if that's not a part of it. All right, moving on. Mission Committee report, it is written there. Is anybody from the Mission Committee has anything else to add? It's pretty straightforward. It's just a list of kind of what the plan that giving is for the church. All right, if there's no other discussion. True.
still have a little bit left to tell people, approach with the members of the missions committee, especially if there's an issue you're personally involved with, to know about it.
Thank you. For video, everybody was just discussing how blessed they are to be on the missions committee and how giving our church is to missions and just the work that we do there. Benevolence committee, there's a report by Ms. Rhiannon Turner. Again, straightforward. Unless she's asked anybody else to add to it, I don't think there's any need to have further discussion. Transportation committee, they're still discussing, selling the van to buy a non-CDL bus. Yeah, like it'll be. It's again a part of the vision. Give it a year or two. Cemetery committee report. No report was submitted. I'm now on the cemetery committee, so I can say that I know there had been requests for Mr. Derek, who mows, to drop some of the footstones that had kind of raised up. The mower couldn't go over them. That work did get done. I was a part of it, so I can confirm that that was finished. If anybody had any questions about that. Otherwise, I don't think there was anything else. David Jennings is apparently going to do some cleanup work along the back edge, which the woods are starting to encroach. Mr. DC. I saw that it had been moved. Honestly, it had been on my list of things to do, and I'm glad it got done. Cool. Thank you, Mr. Derek. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Some friends of ours, I have friends in Boone that I know you've heard about this years ago, but they had their granddaughter at VBS at their church, and they were playing in the cemetery, and the tombstone fell over and killed their granddaughter. She was 3 years old, and the family is still devastated. I just want to say, please don't let the kids play in the cemetery. George said also is dangerous.
Thank you, Michelle. And that is something that for years we actually have worked very hard, just as parents and teachers in the church. Nobody plays in the cemetery. It really doesn't happen. If it happened randomly, it was like maybe some visiting parents or something, or just it was right before the kids got basically told off. I've never allowed my kids to play in the cemetery. That the desire to do so is hopefully dying with this generation. And they're also, to mention, sometimes those headstones do get loose. Since I'm the one on the grounds cleaning, I like to walk the cemetery and pick up trash and stuff, because sometimes stuff blows up there. I look at stones, and there was one, it was a small headstone that had toppled over, and Mr. Dana took care of that. I brought it to his attention, and he came out one day and re-cemented it up. So I try and make sure that safety issues like that, not that anybody's playing in the cemetery, but sometimes people walk through the cemetery. But I try and make sure that safety issues like that are addressed, because I'm up there picking up trash, and I try and check it out every few weeks. So, yes, ma'am. That is the end of the reports from committees. There was a thing about the new business, old business. Nope. Why is there a handout for security camera stuff? Okay, so now we're on to new business, right? Is there old business to discuss? Ms. Judy. Yes.
Since it's going to be spring before the installation's going to be done, is there anything we can do on a work day or something to make that space better for the kids that are going to be here between now and spring?
Yep. Ms. Judy had asked if there was anything we could do between now and then as far as getting this, since the remodel won't be done until next spring, to make it more usable. Mr. Kevin says yes. We're having discussions with Stacy as far as getting rid of equipment and just stuff that needs to be gotten rid of that's in the way. It's trash, it's garbage, it's just makes the space unusable. We're getting rid of that. We're discussing that. We're making plans to do that. I'm just saying that for everybody on the video. Ms. Jenna? Gotcha. Ms. Jenna was just stating there's actually already a dedicated group of people that are actively thinking and acting on that. New business. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. DC, I just saw your hand. Okay. That was the water tank things. It's a train that we pull kids around, and it's going to be used in the 4th of July parade, which is pretty cool. But then it'll be gone, and they will be taken care of. Now new business. All right. Steve Cohn.
I'm going to try to present from back here while I'm doing the live streaming and presenting and talking. So when we built, I'm going to show you right here. You all have a handout. As you can see, this is an aerial view of our property and campus, and that's the Family Worship Center right here. And when we built that building, there was, previous to that, building the building, there was a lot of discussion about putting security cameras in various areas of the campus due to some, I guess, anomalies we've had where we've had the bus, we've had break-ins at the bus across the street. The catalytic converter was stolen out of it. We've had some, over the years, George called me one day and said, hey, we got a suspicious character over here playing basketball with the kids across the street. We want to try to keep a closer eye on them. And so we started looking at what can we put cameras in? What can we do? This was a couple years ago. And lo and behold, this guy was a sexual predator, and the police were called, and I think since then the guy's also been removed. Well, when we put the Family Worship Center in, we put 5 cameras in. There's 5 cameras in over there. And the main control system is in the building, and it has a 16 camera capacity. And we have 5 cameras there. We have 2 inside, 3 outside, and they're over, right at the doorways. So anybody coming in any of the doorways gets recorded. The camera recorder records up to 3 weeks in a loop. So if we had a break-in or something like that, we would have plenty of time to go back through the video and find out what's going on. We can see what's going on. Now we're kind of limited because we can't really see the parking lots, and we can only see people coming in and out of the building. So a few weeks ago, as Gary Powell had described, that we had in the deacons meeting some security issues were discussed about children possibly getting loose, running around on the parking lot. So we started looking at this a little closer, and I kind of dusted off some old plans that I had and revised those plans. And so what we're looking at here in this picture is adding a camera for every door. We have a capacity of adding 11 more cameras. So in the office over here, we'll put a camera for every door. And in the sanctuary and fellowship hall, for every doorway, we'll put a camera, a fixed camera, so we can basically identify anybody coming in and out of the door. Then we talked about using these cameras here in this corner, that corner, which is a pan, tilt, zoom camera. You can zoom all the way across the street, and you can actually read a license plate off the car. And so they're very powerful cameras. This in light blue would be the area that you could pan around and zoom around to. So you can see all this area here. Now this camera, parking lot camera here, is a fixed camera, and it would basically take in this parking lot in the front of the office. Now the idea, one of the ideas we came up with is, and I think George even is the one that came up with this idea, would be this kind of occurred several years ago when there was a shooting at one of the churches, and we started looking at this a little closer, thinking we might want to be more proactive here. So the idea is during the church service, and we could do this even in the Sunday school service or hours, but from any TV, let me back up just for a second. So these buildings are all connected with Skyline, Skybest fiber optics. So we have a fiber optic backbone that provides high stream, high refresh rate going from building to building. So we don't have to worry about, degradation of the video or anything like that. So with any building, any room that has a TV and an Apple TV, you can take your phone, your iPhone, and you can basically pair it with the TV, and you can monitor activity across the campus, all 16 cameras. So, and I've tested this. I think I've showed a few people in here. Lou, I think I showed you, and George, you saw the demonstration on how we can monitor the activity. So during church services, if a child was somehow snuck out of one of the Sunday school rooms and they're running around in the parking lot, the idea was under the security team, under Freddie Spitzoff, a person would be designated to monitor this. And of course, we would do training as well. And the software is all included, so there's no additional cost. And so basically, this would provide an umbrella and a blanket of visual capability across the entire church campus all at one time, using 16 cameras I was over in Dwayne's classroom, and I used his big 85-inch TV, and it's crystal clear on there. You can see any activity, any movement going on, and anything you spot, you can tap on that particular camera, and it blows it up to full view, so instantly you can spot any problems. And of course, the person that's monitoring this would have a radio. And so if they saw something going on in the parking lot, somebody getting out of their car, somebody suspicious, they could radio the team quickly, and then the team could respond. So this is what was shown to the deacons. They liked it. I talked to Lou about it. He said we ought to present this in the meeting tonight, and it's a $15,000 project. And this is what we're proposing to have done. So I don't know if you have any questions. I'll be opening it up to questions, and we can talk about it.
Okay, so my understanding is that you said $15,000 to basically get the cameras to monitor what you've displayed up here.
Exactly. We have 5 cameras existing.
Right, and you can add 11.
We will add 11 more cameras, including 2 pan, tilt, zoom cameras, very powerful cameras.
Right.
Plus, in the specs in your sheet there, we'll be adding another 6 terabyte hard drive. It'll allow us a 3-week period of time to continuously videotape without interruption, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, for 3 weeks before it loops over itself and starts erasing. So anyway, so we're adding a hard drive and we're adding 11 more cameras.
Okay. Is this isn't a motion coming from a committee. This was something that you were, okay, this is from the deacon. Sorry, I did miss the last deacon's meeting. So.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that, George, because I wasn't sure either.
Okay, so this is actually a motion from the deacons. So we don't need the first and second, but what was the money again? What was the amount?
$15,026.
Okay,
$15,000.
$15,026.
$26.13.
And I'll open with questions. Lou, this has been discussed. And okay. So the money is available from the Finance Committee. The money is available if the church approves it. My next question, only just looking at the map, I know we just discussed a playground, and I know the playground location is not set in stone, and I know when this was probably put together, it wasn't maybe not even on the radar because this is all very new information. But it doesn't look to me like there's a camera pointing towards the playground.
There's not. And
okay.
We can, right there, that camera right there,
uh-huh.
on the back door of the office.
Right.
That's a fixed camera. We can use, instead of putting a fixed camera in there, we could put a pan tilt zoom camera in there. They're $2,100 a piece. It would change the price of this. or we could come back at a later date and change that out.
Okay, so at a later date, we could just change a camera. We wouldn't have to worry about adding a camera, because my understanding is with the software and the program we already have, it's compatible, it's capable of handling up to the 16 cameras.
Right.
We wouldn't
We
want to
would
go
be-
17 or 18. That would be a whole nother
We
project.
would be maxed out at this point.
Gotcha.
Now, they're not that expensive. We could always upgrade the system at some point in the future and add more cameras. I'm trying to keep it within the foundation we built, the 16 cameras at this point.
Okay. No, I agree. And if you think that within the 16 camera thing, when we do decide where the playground's going to be, we can easily use what we have to monitor the playground as well. I think that would be important. But
Yes, we can.
I'm just
That's-
asking, that's something that probably can be done with very little.
It's a camera
money.
replacement, yeah.
It's just a camera
It's like
replacement. We're not talking
$2,100,
about a
yeah.
major change. It's something that can be done relatively easily
It can,
and moderately inexpensively. Future reference. Mr. Fred.
I believe if we knew about that right now, the 16, for that back camera, part of that's already been in there, so I don't think we're talking more than $1,000, are we? If we swap the difference.
Cameras are $2,100, the pan tilt zoom. I think they're $350.
Okay. So we are talking about the potentiality of fixing that particular problem that I just mentioned. It might cost another $2,000, but it shouldn't cost more than that, and nothing else would have to change. We're just talking about a different camera that can take care of it. Mr. Kevin.
They're not going to take back a camera from us, correct?
Correct.
They're not going to take back a camera.
So why would we not go ahead and consider now putting in a pan tilt back there to
Okay.
cover that whole entire field back there? And $300 is money I can put upstairs or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not have a camera that's going to be worthless unless we upgrade our entire system.
Okay, so
It would make more sense to go ahead and package in, to me, that extra money.
camera, okay. Okay, so Mr. Kevin has stated for the video, Mr. Kevin is saying, hold on, let's just, before we go much further, let's just discuss going ahead and getting the right camera that will go ahead and cover this whole problem so that it's not even something that we have to address later. It will just be done now. I'm assuming that means we'll need to change the price to $2,100 more than what was just quoted.
Minus
$350. See, like I said, this is getting a little bit more complicated than my brain can handle right now. Hold on. Okay, so what I'm hearing is 17,000 should cover it regardless.
Yeah, 17 would be good.
Okay, so this would be potentially, I'm not saying this is also me just trying to organize my thoughts. We're modifying the motion to increase the amount to 17,000 just to be able to cover that additional camera upgrade. Ms. Turner. Okay, does this money include installation?
Yes, and also bear in mind, Kevin called me the other day about this and was concerned about electrical. All these cameras run over Ethernet, and the Ethernet systems, they run off of switches, which is we call PoE, which I'm getting a little technical, but it's power over Ethernet. So the power they receive to run is over the Ethernet cable, which is all put into this estimate. So the Ethernet cable that's being installed will also power the cameras.
All right, so that clears up that. Mr. Kevin.
Most likely also lower our
And Mr. Kevin would like to say, it will lower our liability rate on the insurance most likely, so we can keep that in mind. I would like, Lou, if we modified this to 17,000, does that make a difference, or is the finance committee still good? All right, still good from the finance committee. Ms. Caitlin. Is there a monthly or yearly subscription for this product?
No.
No, okay, this is all in-house. We buy the software and it runs.
It's all included in the internet cost.
Okay. Great questions, everybody. Keep throwing them. Or are we good? Does anybody else have any other questions? All right, so motion came from the committee, the deacons. We don't need a first, we don't need a second. As the motion stands, we increased the amount to $17,000 total. And so that's what it is. To go ahead and make the purchase for that covers installation, that covers all the cameras. It looks like it'll cover all our nooks and crannies. So that's the motion. I'm putting it to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. All right, cool. Any other new business?
Yes.
Sam?
Yeah. I need to ask for money.
Why not?
Yeah. So someone had mentioned, we built a new building and we want to break it in. Someone mentioned to my wife about getting someone to come, and I've been talking to Darren and Brooke Aldridge, which they're a huge bluegrass gospel band. They're very well known. So, and I talked to Darren, like I talked to him the last couple months, and he just let me know this week the available dates. Friday, August the 1st, or else I would have had it in the book or in the minutes. But to get them to come, their whole band would be $5,000, which I know it's money, but to Darren and Brooke, that's probably a pretty good deal to us, I would think. So that would be just to church people, like people from Henson's Creek, probably from people they would invite also, but not like promoting it or do anything like that. So it'd be just like a Mount Calvary bluegrass gospel break in the building. So
we're talking about a party on August 1st?
August the 1st, yes, would be the dates they have them. Yes, Miss Jenna.
Our plan was that we would take up just a love offering, and that love offering would go back to the church for expenses, is what Stacy and I had kind of discussed. But, I mean, that, and while I've got the microphone, also Floyd has helped me get Boone and Church that's willing to come on the 16th or 17th of August on a love offering only. So if y'all are in favor of that.
And I'm going to talk, and possibly Tommy Carver would come with Darren and Brooke also. Darren is supposed to let me know on that when I let him know this. I'll let him know tonight. So Tommy he's a local guy, local family. And so he would come and he would open up for Darren and Brooke if they're available. And so he's a distant cousin to Darren. So I don't know how to do this.
If I'm remembering correctly, there was one other date that it didn't work.
This August 1st is the only one that's going to work. It's a Friday evening.
Okay.
So they're in Utah right now, playing all over the place.
So Sam is putting forward a motion to have, in my words, a housewarming party for the new building. It would be a concert and kind of party to have a well-known but local folk bluegrass gospel, or just bluegrass, come and play. To have like a concert kind of just shindig. For the cost of them to come would be $5,000. And so that is the motion that Sam is bringing forth. We do need to have because Sam and himself is not a committee, we do need to have a motion. So that's the motion, and there's the second from George. Okay, is further discussion? Oh, there's a lot of hands. I saw Miss Judy.
No, it'd just be the church, like a couple local churches, like Brooks families from Henson's Creek. So it'd probably
we'll have to limit the invitations because it would be, we'd have to sell tickets. Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna need to talk about that, but
So
yeah.
to be clear, this is not like a promoted concert. This is this is a more like in-house sort of. We're just going to celebrate together as a church the accomplishment that, and we'll get a glass bottle of Welch's grape juice and break on the side, and christen the building. So, Miss Jenna.
The other event that we're talking about.
I completely skipped that event. Is that a part of this discussion as
No,
well?
no, that's a separate
That should be a
event.
second discussion. Okay. Gotcha. There were 4 or 5 hands that went up. Anybody, Mr. Kevin?
I'll just quickly say, our maximum occupancy of that building is 300.
For the record,
Yeah.
the maximum occupancy of the Family Worship Center, and that is like fire marshal thing, a little sign they put on the side, is 300. Wait, It was
That number that got thrown out earlier isn't
People
true.
were at the funeral. That's what was at the funeral. Yeah. I thought I had asked that to Mr. Kevin before.
I don't think we want to have less than 300 that night if we can make it happen, but we need to start with our church family.
Yeah. Other questions? Miss Patty? Not Miss Patty. Well, yeah, I guess a part of that was this will be $5,000 that we spend to bring them at the event. There would be a love offering. Basically, we would ask, hey, contribute to this, and that would just be money raised that would then go back into the coffers.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, not during, but so that would be $5,000 we're spending now. At least part of that money, hopefully, we're just going to ask the church, hey, contribute to this, and then it'll go back in. Mr. Fred. Right. You were talking about how at Mr. Roy's funeral we were basically parking back in the field because, right. I have a feeling that maybe I don't think we'll have that many people showing up, but I agree that maybe is something. I don't know if that's we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. We could, if we were a little bit more intentional as far as like. I don't know if the paving might be done by then, so we might have a much more functional parking lot. Well, but I was going to say if we think it's going to be a problem, and we won't know until we get a little bit closer, if we are a little bit more intentional with directing parking, I think we can avoid that problem because we can actually put more people in this parking lot. And of course, if the lines are already done, it's going to be a better functioning parking lot, so that as it was already chaotic and just cars. You know, if you don't have actual lines and cars start parking, they're going to take a parking space and a half. You kind of have to be like, no, I need you to move over 6 more inches and park right here. You know, and so I don't think I'm not foreseeing that being an issue, but I do think if we have foresight, if we think it's going to be an issue, if we're deliberate the day of, I think we can avoid having to overflow parking all the way in the backfield. Just one man's opinion. Any other questions? Michelle.
Since we're spending so much money on the building and everything, hundreds of thousands of dollars, I mean, I'm just overwhelmed. Couldn't we just charge $30 a person or something?
Yeah, no. Yeah, because there's probably issues with that as far as like being a venue. Miss yeah.
When we went in for the building permit,
Yeah.
we gave them the vision of this church publicly. And so we can only do a love offering. We cannot charge tickets.
Yeah, we can't sell tickets. I figured that was something like, thank you, Miss April. I figured that was something along those lines. It's not something we can't be a venue to host concerts. Any other questions? Okay, quick reminder, the motion as stands, $5,000, Brooke and Darren to come August 1st, in church, limited, like ask your friends to come. In my words, housewarming party for the new Family Worship Center. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Further new business. All right, 1, 2, 3, done. All right. I need a motion to adjourn. I see Mr. Fred. I'm going to take you as the second, Mr. Chris. I'll close this in prayer. All in favor? I'm going to close this in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for a very productive, but also encouraging business meeting, Lord. Thank you for answered prayers, and pray, Lord, that we continue going forward in wisdom, carrying your kingdom into the high country. May we be a jump-off point for a radical just movement of your spirit in the high country. and help us to continue carrying on in wisdom and be utilized by you in doing so. In Jesus' name, amen.